Hey guys, and welcome back to the next reading session. Today I'm reading the fourth, fifth part of the story A Municipal Report. So let's begin. It carries on an extensive trade in stoves and hollowware with the West and South hollowware. And its flooring mills have a daily capacity of more than 2,000 barrels. Azalea Adair seemed to reflect. I have never thought of it this way, that way, she said with the kind of sincere intensity that seemed to belong to her. Isn't it in the still, quiet places that things do happen? I fancy that when God began to create the earth on the first Monday morning, one could have leaned out one's windows and heard the drop of mud splashing from his trowel, trowel as he built up the everlasting hills. What did the noisiest project in the world? I mean, the building of the Tower of Babel. Result in finally a page and a half of Esperanto in the North American Review. Of course, said I. Per plati plati platidinously. 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 Human nature is the same everywhere, but there is more color, more drama and movement, romance in some cities than in others. On the surface, said Azela there, I have traveled many times around the world in a golden airship, warped, warped on two wings, okay, print and dreams. I have seen in one of my imaginary tours the Sultan of Turkey bowstring with his own hands one of his wives who had uncovered her face in public. I have seen a man. I have seen a man in Nashville tear up his theater tickets because his wife was going out with her face covered with rice powder. In San Francisco's Chinatown, I saw this slave girl sing ye deep it deep it slowly, inch by inch, in boiling almond oil to make her swear and would never see her American lover again. She gave in when the boiling oil had reached 3 inches above her knee. At an anchor, e euchre, ew, euchre, euchre body. Who knows what is this? Euchre body. In East Nashville, the other night I saw Kitty Morgan cut dead by seven of her schoolmates and lifelong friends because she had married a house painter. The boiling oil was sizzling, as high as her heart. But I wish you could have seen the fine little smile that she carried from table to table. Oh, yes, it is a humdrum town, just a few miles of red brick houses and mud and stores and lumber yards. Lumber, forget the meaning. Lumberjack, right, forgot. Someone knocked hollow, hollowly, hollowly at the back of the house, at the back of at the back of the house. Azela there breathed a soft apology and went to investigate the sound. She came back in 3 minutes with brightened eyes, a faint flush on her cheeks, and 10 years lifted from her shoulders. You must have a cup of tea before you go, she said, and a sugar cake. She reached and shook a little iron bell and, and shuffled a small Negro girl, about 12, barefoot, not very tidy, glowering at me with thumb in mouth and bulging eyes. Bulging eyes. As Deladair opened a tiny, worn purse and drew out a dollar bill with the upper right hand corner missing, torn in two pace, torn in two pieces, and pasted together again with a strip of blue tissue paper. It was one of the bills I had given the it was one of the bills I had given the piratical Negro. Piratical. There was no doubt of it. Go up to Mr. Baker's store on the corner, Impy, she said, hanging the girl, handing the girl the dollar bill, and get quarter of a pound of tea. The kind he always sends me, and 10 cents worth of sugar cakes. Now, hurry. The supply of tea in the house happens to be exhausted, she explained to me. Impy left by the back way before the scrape of her heart, bare feet. Bare feet. Before the scrape of her heart, bare feet had died away. Died away. On the back porch. A wild shriek, shriek, like Shrek, but with I. I was sure it was hers, filled the hollow house. Hollow. Then the deep, gruff tones of an angry man's voice mingled with the girl's further squeals and unintelligible words. As Eladia rose without surprise or emotion and disappeared. For 2 minutes I heard the hoarse rumble of the man's voice, then something like an oath, and a light scuffle, and she returned calmly to her chair. This is a roomy house, she said, and I have a tenant for part of it. I'm sorry to have her I'm sorry to have to res- rescind, rescind my invitation to tea. It was impossible to get the kind I always use at the store. Perhaps tomorrow Mr. Baker will be able to supply me. I was sure that Impy had not had time to leave the house. I inquired concerning streetcars lines and took my leave. After I was well on my way, I remembered that I had not learned Azalade's name, but tomorrow would do. That same day, in on a, in I started in on the course of iniquity, iniquity. That this uneventful city forced upon me. I was in the town only 2 days, but in that time I managed to lie shamelessly by telegraph and to be an accomplice after the fact, if that is the correct legal term, to a murder. As I rounded the corner nearest my hotel, the affright coachman of the polychromatic non nonpareil court sized me, swung open the dungeony door of his peripatetic peripatetic sarcophagus, flirted his feather duster, and began his ritual. Step right in, boss. Carriage is clean. Just go back from a funeral. 50 cents to any. And then he knew me and grinned broadly. Excuse me, boss. You is the gentleman that what read out with me this mo moving. Thank you kindly, sir. I'm going out to 861 again tomorrow afternoon at 3, said I. And if you will be here, I will let you drive me. So you know Miss Adair? I concluded, thinking of my dollar bill. I belong to her father. Judge Adair, sir, he replied. I judge that she's pretty poor, I said. She hasn't much money to speak of, has she? For an instant, I looked again at the fierce countenance of King Sitiwaya, and then he changed back to an extortionate old Negro hack driver. Extortionate. 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 Yeah. Old Negro black driver. She ain't going to starve, sir, he said slowly. She has resources, sir. She has resources. Resources. I shall pay you 50 cents for for the trip, said I. That is perfectly correct, sir, he answered humbly. I just had to have that $2 this morning, boss. I went to the hotel and lied by electricity. I wired the magazine. A dare holds out of her 8 cents a word. A dare holds out for 8 cents a word. The answer that came back was give it to her quick, you duffer. Duffer. Like a fool. Alright, guys. Thank you for listening to me today and see you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you. Bye.